Okay, here we go. We are in Yaakov, and again, it's the Gemara Brachot. That's what we're learning right now, 32a, and everybody's on the right page. So here we go. Now, we were talking last time about the golden calf, and it actually is very great time to do this because this week's Torah portion is Pasha Kitisa, in which we do read about the golden calf and what happens and so on and so forth. So when you go to Shul, this was going to sound very familiar. This is after the golden calf was made, and Moses is on the mountaintop with Hashem, as it were. So what happens is the following conversation. This is the actual verse of the Torah. Hashem says, "Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe lech reid." So Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, "Go down, go and descend, because the people you brought out of Egypt have become corrupt." So the Gemara asked, "My lech reid, what's meant by the phrase "go and descend"?" So Amar Rav Elazar explained, Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe. Hashem said to Moshe, "Moshe, reid megedulatcha, Moshe, go down from your greatness. Klum natati lecha gedola, ela b'shvil Yisrael. Did I grant you greatness, but for the case of Israel? In other words, I didn't give you this greatness that you have, except for Israel. That's why you're speaking with me. That's why you're given the ability to have to get the Torah, and so on and so forth. Ve'achshav Yisrael chatu, and now that Israel has sinned, ata lamali, what do I need you for?" That's not a very nice thing to say, but nonetheless, that's what Hashem is saying to him. I gave you this greatness because of Israel, and now that they've sinned, what do I need you for? Or there's a variant text that the yaacov has, is Lama lecha gedola. What do you have this greatness for? Not what do I need you for, but why do you have this greatness? There's a slight difference in connotation there.
Why don't we just understand the simple meaning? Go down from the mountain. You're up in the mountain. Go down. Go down.
Why should you say? No, because the verse continues, "Go down because of the people you brought out of Egypt have become corrupt."
Oh, we're taking the whole thing.
Right. So what he should have said was either lech, go, or raid. But even there, go down. Why go down? Just go. Why you tell me to descend? I know where I am. I'm on a mountain. So what's the big deal? Why do you tell me to? But why use both? And then furthermore, just to really bring home the question here, it said, "Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe lech reid." Instead of saying, "Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe lemor," Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "Go down to the people." Because he didn't use the word lemor, we know that God is angry, as it were. Okay, so he didn't say lemor. So that's how we understand that God is not exactly happy at the situation, at what we've been doing, namely manufacturing a golden calf.
God spoke to Moses, "Go down."
Go down, right. So go down.
Wow.
So the rabbi is saying, why down? The reason is because the only reason you were given this level of spiritual...
in other words, so it's obvious that he has to physically go down the mountain, down.
Right, right. That's clear. So you could have just said go. You didn't have to say lech raid. That's what they're picking on, lech raid, yeah.
There's the absence of the word lemor. Isn't the absence of the word lemor just that Moshe isn't instructed to tell this to Klal Yisrael? That he isn't instructed to tell others. Lemor isn't...
It's usually a quote you want to say.
Usually, it's a quote to someone else.
It could be that, but many times Hashem will instruct Moshe what to do by saying, "Vayedaber Hashem Moshe lemor," do this. So the rabbis, again, are pointing out two things. One is that there's no lemor, and the other one is that it's lech raid. Instead of just either lech or raid, go down. Why do you have to say go and descend? Go descend. Why? You don't have to say that. We know he has to descend. You have an extra word here. Remember, you can't have an extra word. If you have
I'm still thinking just like in English language terms, how we would say the same thing. Wouldn't we say, go down the mountain? I don't know. Or just are you saying go to the people? So what is it? That's it.
You know what? The truth is, we may indeed, we humans, because we're not particular about our speech, may say go down.
Okay.
But
and we tend to be redundant, right?
Right. Remember, this is Hashem speaking, and Hashem doesn't. Again, the concept is, we can't forget the concept of starting with the premise. God doesn't waste a word. If God doesn't waste a word, I don't need the direction go down. I need go, instruct, punish, do what you have to do. Or God could have said, by the way, Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, the people that you brought out of Egypt have become corrupt. You don't even need the words lech raid, go down. What do I need to go down for? The people you brought out have become corrupt. Simple as that. If you look at the verse, you don't need lech raid.
Oh, because he's just making a statement of what's going on with the people.
Right, the people have gone, so now go down, and so now the implication is go down. So you don't need even lech raid if you really want to be very technical. Again, when we look at the verses, we always have to say, what is being presented to me? What's the storyline? Along the storyline, so God tells Moshe suddenly in the middle of giving him the tablets and talking to him, telling him what's going on. The people, in the meanwhile, because Moses doesn't come down the mountain fast enough. Remember, he said, I'll be down in 40 days. So they counted 40 days. What they didn't realize was that the day that he went up didn't count as a day because it was during the day, so he still had another 12 hours or whatever it was, 6 hours, 12 hours. Right, so they missed up a couple of hours. And so what happens is they think either Moses is dead or but they really think he's dead. So that's why they go to Aaron and say, make us Elohim, which is translated, I think, by probably most people by gods, but it could mean judges, make us, because Moshe the man isn't here anymore. Again, there's a lot of words that don't make sense in that whole story. If I look at the episode of the golden calf and really rip the words apart, as the rabbis do, then there's a lot of questions that happen. Namely, Elohim does not mean God in that case. Elohim means leaders. Just look at the straight text. It's just without any tricks, without knowing what happens. The request is, make us Elohim. What is Elohim at that point? Is it gods? Is it a God of justice? Why would I want you to make a God of justice? By the way, think about that. Why am I saying make me an Elohim? Elohim is God of justice. So why am I asking for that? If anything, I would say make me Hashem. But they're not asking for that. And Elohim, later on in the Torah, is referred to as judges. Human judges. Because of din, because of justice. So it makes sense. So they're saying, make us this leader who can bring us into, because Moses isn't here anymore, so bring us. So then when he says, give me the gold, and so on and so forth, and that's that episode, again, the next part, give us gold. Again, it doesn't make any sense. What are you saying, give us gold? And why are you saying taking it from your wives and your children? Why not just take it out of your own ears, like they did in the end? And then the question is, why didn't they take it from why didn't they follow orders? Aaron tells you, take it from your wives and your children, and they take it from themselves. So there's another thing. Why that happened? So like I said, when I'm reading the Torah, I, as a Jewish person, as a serious person looking, that's in opposition to the Reform that we read, and I, as a serious Jew, am supposed to look at the Torah and say, why is God, the author, putting these words here? I don't need them. I don't need these words. I don't need a lot of the words. I can get away with a lot of stuff without having this conversation. And what's really missing here? Because, like I said, one, does not fall to the next. Take it from your wives, they take it themselves. Why? Make me gods, make me Elohim. Next thing you know, they're making a golden calf. And then 3 people, 3,000 out of 3 million worship or do something with this golden calf, and we're all blamed. Well, what? It makes no sense. Again, if I follow it just on the basic line, it makes no sense. That's why the Gemara and the old tradition had to fill in the story to say, okay, this is what we're missing. Understand what's happening. First of all, when it says lechreid, go down because of this greatness that I gave to you, Moshe, was only because of the people. And the people have sinned. They've descended. So if they've descended, you have no right to be at the level you are. Which is an interesting question too. Why? What did Moshe do wrong?
Yeah, what was he even telling us for?
What was Moshe doing wrong? Moshe's up there doing what he's supposed to be doing. The people, he put all the system into place. He said, if you have a problem, go to this person, that person, the other person, and suddenly they're having troubles because there was a breakdown in the Congress, if you will, and in other words, Aaron didn't do the job. He saw his son-in-law. I know Chor was not his son-in-law. Chor was his grandson. Grandson? No, nephew, because it would have been from Miriam. So he saw Chor being killed by the people because Chor was trying to stop them. So he was like, "Oh, I don't want to die." Which is one thing he's supposed to die for is idolatry. You're not supposed to give in to that, and he's the one who manufactures it. Although then he says, "I didn't manufacture." Again, story to story to story. You have to follow that. But all this coming down to where he's telling Moshe, "Lechreid." And then he says, the strongest thing he says in that whole thing is, because the people you brought up out of Egypt. Well, excuse me, who brought the people out of Egypt? Wasn't it God who brought people out of Egypt? It wasn't Moses. Moses is just merely the guy. He's a messenger. You're going to smack the messenger for what you did yourself? And by the way, interesting enough, in Hebrews, he'eleta, that you brought up, versus, and the next time we see it, ha'alita, that you brought up. So it's also interesting. It goes from a seirei to a chirik. And so the rabbis say, what is this, the nation you brought up, referring to? The Erev Rav. The non-Jewish people, the Egyptians, a mixture of nations that saw what was that Hashem was saving the Jewish people, and said, we want to buy into that. So they converted en masse. And Moshe accepted them without asking God. So Hashem says to Moshe, the nation, you remember the nation you brought up? They're the ones who started all the problems, not my people, your people. Take care of it. So don't hire anybody unless you're willing to bear the brunt of that. All this from Lechreid, by the way. Okay? That's what I'm saying. You have to be very, very specific on the language. So now what happens? He says, go down, fine. And miyad, immediately, tashash kochol shel Moshe, v'lo yalo koch l'daber. Immediately Moshe's strength went away, it weakened, and he lacked the strength to advocate for Israel. Why? Kevan sha'amar, heref imeni v'ashmidein. But when Hashem said, release me and I will destroy them, thereby showing Moshe that it was in Moshe's power to save the Jewish people. Moshe said to him, Davar zet loy bi. This matter depends upon me. I can intervene on Israel's behalf. Miyad amad midid chazek b'tfilah ubikesh rachamim. So immediately he arose and he strengthened himself in prayer and pleaded for mercy for Israel. The question that everybody asks here is, why did he suddenly become weak? God says, go down from your greatness, and suddenly, he's hurt. His power is weakened, and he couldn't speak. Suddenly, God says to him, go away from me, and I'll destroy them. And Moshe says, it's all about me. I can stop this. What is going on here? Doesn't make sense. So the Eitz Yosef, I believe it was the Eitz Yosef. No, the Rif. I'm sorry, the Rif. The Rif says like this. He says it's a difficulty that a man like Moshe, our master, that he was astonished. Nival, he was astonished on that he had to go down from his greatness, so much so that he lost his power to speak to Hashem. What's going on? I won't read the whole thing. Basically, what he's saying is, when Moshe was told that it's all about, that your greatness is only due to the Jewish people, if he would have defended the Jewish people at that point, why would you believe that he's defending the Jewish people? For what purpose?
For his greatness.
Correct. You would have, that's the riffs. Everybody is basically saying the same thing. I'm picking on the riff because he says it the shortest. But it's, he was saying, if Moshe would have suddenly said, oh, now I have to defend the people, everybody would have said, oh, yeah, very nice. When it's all about you and your greatness, you want to get back to where you were, so then you defend us. On the other hand, if it's not about you, you would have left us to die. So he didn't, his power was weakened. He didn't know what to say anymore. He was lost. Like, I really don't want the job anyway, so that's one thing. On top of that, we're going to get to more as we see the story unfold, but that was part one. Then suddenly, God says, Heraf imeni, go away from me, va'ashmideim, and when I will destroy them. What does Moshe say? Oh, it's dependent upon me. Where did that come from? Why would it be dependent upon Moshe? Again, be careful. Look at the language. Go away from me, and I will destroy them. And Moshe says, "Oh, it's all. Now I have to intercede. I have the power to intercede." Where did you get that from? Because he says, "Heraf mimeni, go away from me." Who was holding you back? Who's holding you back, God? I'm holding you back? I don't have the power to hold you back. You want to do something, do something. I have no power over you. When the minute he says, Heraf mimeni, go away from me, leave me alone, as it were, and then I'll destroy them? He says, oh, so really you want me to argue on their behalf. Now when what's it? I have you by the beard, that's the expression? Yeah. Right? I have you by the beard. It's interesting, we don't say I have you by the beard. It says, does it say here? I have you by the cloak, basically. Oh yeah, we're going to come to it. Okay, good. So let's go on with it. I don't want to beat the Gemara. Okay, so it says, Mashal, how do you know? Mashal Amela Shakas Albano. It's analogous to a king who became enraged at his son. Vahaya Makeo Maka Gadola. And he was striking him, he was really hitting him badly. Vahaya Ohavo Yoshev Fanav. So his beloved was sitting in front of him. Umityarelo Malo Devar. And he was afraid to say anything to the king in defense of the prince. He didn't want to say anything. Amar HaMelech, the king said to the prince, Ilmale Ohavi Zeh, Shioshe Lefanai Harakticha. Were it not for this friend of mine who is sitting before me, I would kill you. That's the father, that's the king to the prince. Amar, so the friend said to himself, Devarzet Teloibi. Also, this matter depends upon me. Miyad Amad Vehitzilo. So immediately he arose and he saved the prince. So what Moshe said, when Hashem said, Heraf imeni v'ashmideim, if my friend wasn't here, get away from me, then I'll destroy you. Oh, now it's all dependent upon me. Great. So now what happens? V'yata. So the Gemara continues. V'yata nichali v'yichara pi b'hem v'achalem. Again, Hashem is speaking. And now leave me, and my anger will flare up against them. V'achalem, and I will destroy them. Ve'ezeh odcha l'goy gadol, and I will make you into a great nation. Very nice. So and again, think about that offer. Think about that offer. You are my beloved friend. And what I'm going to do for you is, if you leave me alone, my reward to you is I'm going to get rid of these troublemakers. And I'm going to start it all from you, giving you the whole business. It's a turnkey business. What do you want? You get everything. You get the money, you get me, you get the whole business right then and there. Who wouldn't want that, right? Okay, so what happens? Amar Rav Abayu, it's the Rav Abayu said, Imale mikra katuv iyefshal omra. Were not for this pasuk, it would be impossible to say it. Malameid, it teaches us, is teaching, Shetifaso Moshe al HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that a Moshe, as it were, seized the Hashem, Ka'adam shu tofetz hachaver bebigdo, as a man who grabs his friend's cloak. V'yamar lefanav, and he said before him, Ribbon shel olam, Master of the universe, ein ani manichacha, I will not leave you ad shetimcho v'tislach lahem, until you forgive and pardon them. He grabs him by the cloak. Why doesn't he grab him by the beard? That's the expression we all say, right? Grab him by the beard. Why does the midrash, even the example, say it's as if he grabbed him by the cloak?
How can you see God's face?
Okay, fine. Fine. I want you to know that that's basically where the Anaf Yosef is going. He says, this matter is that no man is, or is it? Ki ein adam zoch legemul hagadol ein sof, that there's no person who merits this great recompense to see the ein sof. Remember, ein sof is the Kabbalistic term for the Shechina is the lower one, the Ein Sof is the top. We're not going to see the Ein Sof. You don't see that.
It's like even make an allusion to that in Anim Zemiros,
right.
To film from
Well, yeah, right. Okay, so you're not going to see it. Rock, but siruf avoda zaro ad sof kolador. The only thing you're going to do is see this connection of the avoda of his seed, so on and so forth. And that's becoming it because you're inheriting it through wisdom and through ethical teachings. Moshe Ketuva Hashem Yitbarach, Avram Avinu, like Hashem said to Avram Avinu, Ki yidati, because I know that he, the Manasseh Yisaveh Hashem Yisaveh, that I know that he is going to command his sons about me and teach them about me. V'sayim leman havi Hashem al Avram, and it's in order to bring Hashem al Avram, ayinu bishvil shemitzaveh manchil banav. That's in order that he's going to command them to and cause his sons to inherit, and they're going to guard the way of Hashem and and so on and so forth. So what happens? He goes on again. Here it is. V'hine devarim halaluhem rak l'shavir et ozim. When it says that he grabbed the cloth, the cloak of Hashem, these were only words to, and there's a famous word, there's a famous phrase, the shavir et ozen, to break your ear. Is anthropomorphism at its best. Okay. And afal pikein, even so, ra chacham l'shonam, you see the wisdom of their language. Eich diktaku. I feel it, but devarim she'en l'shaver ha'ozen, even when using anthropomorphism, dabru la'harchik ha'gashmit b'chol masha efshar, they still speak in a language that makes it somewhat possible. In other words, if they say the beard, you can't see the face, so you see the back. So they want to make it sound. I grabbed the cloak, I grabbed the talis, I grabbed something. Okay, v'lo amru ka'adam shetofes chaver stam. He didn't say they grabbed it. He just grabbed him. El ketofes b'chaver bebigdo. But rather they say like a friend who grabs his friend by the cloak. So it's not I'm grabbing my friend. There's too much anthropomorphism. Too much giving God human form. We want to stay away from that for all the good reasons that we have. Okay, because God is not corporeal. So we want to make sure that it's not corporeal. But that which are, as to use the language of the Rambam, the accidents, in other words, that which is not the main thing, of God. The for us, hair colors the accent. I have black hair, red hair, whatever. That's the accent. So if he's wearing the clothes, if he has these clothes, okay, so that you can grab. That we can talk about those accidents, if you will.
It's an illusion.
Right, it's an illusion.
Obviously
But what I'm
not
saying is,
having-
what the Anav Yosef is saying is brilliant. He's saying not only will they not say he grabbed a shem, as it were. They won't even get that cloak. He grabbed the cloak because they want to make it, as far away from the actually corporealizing Hashem as possible. So he says, "V'ritzonam bezeh ki begadim she'adam lovesh moram al shemal shablibo," and they want to also teach us to another thing, that the clothes that a person wears teaches us what's in his heart. Ki im hu sha'at chedva v'simcha, because if he is in a moment of joy and happiness, lovesh big day chofesh, so then he's wearing clothes that symbolize that, in other words, relaxing clothes. It's very funny when a rabbi, I'll pick on myself. When I was working in Bangor, I would always wear a tie, always. I had to have this buttoned up, fine. Because I was the rabbi of the shul. Rabbi Bowman, the rabbi of the shul, cannot walk out without his tie and his hat and his jacket. I don't care what time it is. 3 in the morning. If he gets out of the house, he has to put those things because he's the Rav of HSC. Fine. So, on the other hand, when he goes home, in his home, I have to assume that he takes. I don't know. I have to assume. I don't think.
But only his family.
I don't want to speak Lashon Hara, Moshe Shira. I have to assume that he takes off his hat, jacket, and possibly unbuttons the first thing and takes off his tie. I'm guessing. Okay. No, but I knew a rabbi who, again, straight shooter. He was wore all the things he had to do. I saw him on vacation and he had shorts on, and I said to him, "What's pshat? How do you do it?" He said, "What are you talking about? I'm on vacation." I said, "Yeah, but people may see you." He said, "I'm on vacation." So when we go on vacation, it's a different thing. We're more relaxed. We have our clothes for vacation. And he said, he even told me that when he was, he would always wear the hat, going out. But in his home, he never did. He always took it off. And if somebody would come to his home, he wouldn't dress up for them either. He had his sweats on. That's the end of it. He said, "You're coming to my home." That's you have to understand. I'm relaxed. So that's what the Anaf Yosef is saying. You can tell a person by his attire. V'hu v'im hu sha'at sa'ar. Let's say or v'avel. Let's say the person is in a time of distress or mourning. Chas v'shalom, God forbid. Lovesh shechorim. Big day avel v'chol gersak. Then he's going to wear dark clothing, which is the clothing of the mourner, and he's going to put on sackcloth. V'im hu sha'at milchama. If he's a time of war. Lovesh big day nekem cherev v'chanis. So then he's going to have on his military garb with a sword and spear. Kacha kadosh baruch hu ein bo shum shinoi. Thus, with Hashem there is no difference. Aval shinoi hu kiviyachol k'midotav. But rather, in other words, Hashem doesn't have clothes to dress, so we won't going to know what he's doing. But rather, we look at his midot, the traits. Shuhumish tamish b'hem, that he is using, and that we only know the traits by the name being utilized. Elokim versus Hashem versus Kel, and so on and so forth. That's all going to what we received about his changing the midah. V'im hushat ratzon shebriyotav osim ritzono. If it's in the time of desire, because we're doing what Hashem wants, u'ma'asem olim l'rechin choch lefanav, and their deeds will go up as a pleasant order before Hashem. So then, lovesh big day ratzon v'chesed levusha katalig chiyos. So then he's going to wear, as it were, the clothes of desire and kindness, so on and so forth. V'im chas shalom habriot machisim lefana. If God forbid the people are angering God, b'masim rayim, with bad actions. V'ushad hazam, and it's a time of anger. Lovesh kaviyachol begadim hamorim al min hadin. So then he's going to wear those clothes that teach us that he's in that that midah of that trait of judgment. Yala roges madua edom levushecha, and on anger, and that's why it says, why is your clothing red, symbolizing anger. V'chol zeh, again, Anav Yosef has to emphasize, v'chol zeh l'shaber ha'oizen, this is all just to break the ear, to make us hear something. Umadatov mechavanim l'shem b'shem levushav, that his midot, that God's character, the whatever, how do you want to translate midot here? The characteristic that God is now having, anger, love, whatever it's going to be, for us, he's trying to demonstrate that that's going to be in the name of his clothing. Ve'en lecha sha'at zam k'sha'at ha'egel. And there was no greater time for anger than this time of the golden calf. Fi'az k'biyachol nishtamesh b'mid hadin, the vigde nakam. That's why, as it were, he was wearing the mid hadin, the trait of judgment, and therefore the clothes of vengeance. Moshe Rabbeinu lo hiniyach ha'af, he did not leave the anger shehema shluchim hadin, which are the messengers of this trait of judgment, to leave because he didn't want them to destroy Israel. Therefore, it says, they say that Moshe grabbed HaKadosh Baruch Hu like he grabs his friends with his clothes. So also Moshe grabbed these clothes of Nakama, of vengeance, which was the trait of justice. Again, this is all anthropomorphic. That's what they want to emphasize here. But they're saying more than the anthropomorphic, that when we speak about anthropomorphism, we're using the clothing. Because clothing, what's the expression? Clothing makes the man. Okay? So really, that's what we're looking at this point. An amazing thing. Then it goes on further. Let's not stop there. It goes on. So, and then it says, furthermore, yes, I will make you into a great nation. So Amar Ve'elazar, Amar Moshe, Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe said before Hashem, Rabbonu Shalom, Master of the universe, Uma Kisei Shal Shalosh Galam, Eni Yachol Amod, Lifnecha B'Shar Kazecha. If a stool of 3 legs, one leg Avram, second leg Yitzchak, third leg Yaakov, 3 forefathers, 3 patriarchs, if that stool cannot withstand your anger, then kiseh shel regel echad al acha kama kama. How much more so a stool of 1 leg, namely a nation supported solely by my merit. I have a 3-legged stool in front of me, and now you want to wipe that away, and you want to put my stool. I only have a single pedestal. I don't have any to last. You're going to wipe out my kids. So below old, Ella, she is be boasted panim yavatai, and even if you would, then I would be ashamed by my forefathers, because Achshav Yarmu, they will now say to me, if I would let you do what you want to do, namely wipe out their progeny and keep mine. Ra'u parnesh amid aleihem. Look at the leader that God gave them. Bikesh gedol la'atzmo v'lo bikesh aleim rachamim. He saw greatness for himself as the founder of a new nation, but he did not beseech Hashem for mercy on their behalf. So Moshe doesn't want it. He said, if you wipe them out for me, it's not going to be good, because first of all, I'm not going to last. So the rabbis asked a very simple question. Wait a second. How many legs really is that stool? You understand the question? I had a stool. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Well, where does Moshe come from?
From them.
So, even if I wipe out all the kids, and I leave Moshe, it should be a stool of 4. I should have 4 legs.
You still have those 3.
I still have 3 legs. I'm still one of their kids. So I should have 4 legs now. And if anything, it should be a stronger thing. It should be stronger. Why don't you want it? It's not a good argument to 3 versus 1. It's not 3 versus 1. It's 3 versus 4. And that's, sorry?
Moshe comes from one of the tribes.
Correct. It comes from Levi.
Right, so Levi was...
From Yaakov.
Right, so it's still 3 legs, right?
4. I have Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, now Moshe.
But Moshe is part of Yaakov.
And you're right. But I'm saying now, in other words, what's the legs? Each one is bringing to the table merit. So Abraham, what's his merit of the loving kindness? But he was willing to throw himself into the fire for God. He was willing to die for God. Yaakov was willing to be sacrificed to God, and Yaakov went into the asper for God. So now we have Moshe, and so now I have 4 people, because really you could argue, if you're going to argue that, you could say it's all from Abraham.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so now I have 4 marriages going on. So why didn't you want that? That's why he defaults, the rabbis explained, to the last reason. And even if I did give in to you, God, I'd be ashamed before my patriarchs, because I'm going to go to heaven when I die, and they're going to say to me, oh, look at the big leader, oh, the big boy, look at what he did. When it came to his greatness, because he wanted like David HaMelech will want, the father of, when you say the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, and the God of Moshe. You want fame and fortune. Look at that one. He wanted it, so that he fought for. But for the rest of the people, he didn't care. So he said, I can't go up. I can't do that. Even if you can tell me I have 4 legs. I can't do this sort of thing. Okay? Actually, he's coming from that. It's an amazing thing to say. So now what happens? Again, this is also in this week's parsha. Vayichal Moshe epenei Hashem. So Moshe pleaded before Hashem. So the question is, what does Vayichal mean? Okay, so Amar Rabbi Elazar, because chal can mean he fell. It's one of the 10 phrases of prayer, but each phrase has an interesting twist to it. So here we go. So Amar Rabbi Elazar. So Rabbi Elazar said, "Melamed she'omed she'amad Moshe b'tefila lifnei Kadosh Baruch Hu ad she'elahu." This teaches that Moshe stood in prayer before Hashem to the extent that he has successfully importuned him. In other words, he convinced him. Rava Amar, Rava said, Ad she'hefer lo nidro. Moshe persisted until he annulled, from the word chal, annulled God's vow to destroy Israel. It's written over here in this place where we're learning right now. Vayichal, and over K'tiv Hacham, and it's written in Numbers. Lo yachel davaro. When talking about an oath, it says you shall not profane his vow. Chal, chulin. By the way, that's where chulin comes from. The secular. Okay, chol, weekday. For those who are, you'll appreciate that, Bill. Chol is weekday. So, and then he says, "Ve'amamar hu ena mochel aval acheram mechilin lo." That the master said that the one who took the vow may not profane it, but others may profane or annul the vow for him. So he's going to wait. He's trying to get God to annul the vow. Ushmuel Amar, and Shmuel said, "Melamed shemasa atzmo lemita aleim." It teaches that Moshe risked his life for the sake, as it says, "V'em ayin mechenina misipracha." If you will not forgive their sin and wipe me out from your book. Of course, if you will forgive their sin, keep me in the book. As I spoke about this past Shabbos, where we have to be very careful of what we say about ourselves. If we say, when we invoke God in one manner or something else, or even again, could be to the people that we're talking to on this planet. If we start making decrees, like I remember one rabbi said to, I was told, I wasn't there, but the rabbi said to the president, who was a person who was running for president in Israel, he said, if you become president, I can't work for you. And the person became president, and as he was being sworn into the synagogue, whatever that means, he said, as the new president, I am here to inform you that the rabbi has tendered his resignation and will no longer be working for us. We will have a search committee, blah, blah, blah.
He took that statement very seriously.
do not say anything that you do not want to happen.
Oh.
Because, as I said on Shabbos, Niva v'lo yada masha niva. They prophesize and they don't know what they prophesize. So you have to be very, very careful with what you say. When a husband says to his wife, if you don't, or the other way, if you don't like this, divorce me, you've just opened the door to divorce. And it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, it could be already on the way out. But again, don't say anything. We'll have to stop here. Don't say anything that you don't want to happen, because what we're learning here is even though Moshe won the argument, as we in Parshat Tisaveh, his name is not mentioned once. And that's what the rabbi said, because he said, Mecheni na mitzifracha, because you opened your mouth and said, wipe me out from your book, it doesn't matter the condition. You said it, Hashem took your word for it. Okay, we'll have to stop there.